just need you have to answer the lawyer's questions. All right. Bring him in.
Every time I'm moving your water because it's directly in my... You can get it.
Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Technically, you can be seated in any seat. There are technically no assigned seats. I know we're all creatures of habit. We want to sit in the same seat, but you can sit anywhere you want to sit. So come on in, just make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Come on in, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. I always tell ladies and gentlemen, if you want to sit on this end, come out first. Sit on that end, come out second. That way you don't have to climb over anyone. But you can sit in any seat. Just make yourself comfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, every now and then I got to take a break, but don't draw any emphasis from any breaks that I take, one way or the other. All right. Y'all can be seated. Ms. Morgan, you can be seated.
Mr. Tryon, again, going back to your previous testimony, that you said, were you able to observe Rusty that entire day? Were you in the boat with him?
The entire day, no.
And there were other common friends of yours and Andrea's at the birthday party, right?
Yes.
And Andrea Lippman was there and can make the same observations as you, right?
Objection as to what Andrea Lippman could make.
I'm going to sustain that objection. You may want to rephrase that question.
Was Andrea Lippman present? Did you recall her being?
I do not recall. It is possible, of course. I'm sure she was there. I do not recall meeting her until after Rusty was murdered. It's very possible we met, but I do not recall that. It's very possible, though.
Well, you're going back to the 18th, and I may have misunderstood. You testified under direct examination that you were in the car when you received the phone call.
That is correct.
And you were using your GPS.
That is correct.
Have you told anyone else that you were in the spot when you received the phone call?
Yes.
Could you be both places at once, in the car and in the spot?
I'm sorry, on the spot? What? I'm sorry, were you...
Have you told anyone else that when you received the phone call from Andrea that you were not in the car, but you were actually inside the spot?
Oh, no. No. Now, be clear. When I first received the phone call from Andrea Snyderman, I was in the car. I then later received a phone call from Andrea Lippman from Andrea's phone, I believe. But I did not speak to Andrea Snyderman at all that day until getting to her house that night. It was Andrea Lippman who told me that Rusty had been killed.
Okay.
And I had never met her before, or I certainly do not recall meeting her, and she was the one who told me while I was at the spa that Rusty had in fact died.
So, but Andrea Snyderman called you while you were in the car?
Andrea Snyderman called me while in the car and told me that he had been shot. It was Andrea Lippman who told me that in fact he had died.
Okay. The conversation that you had with Andrea Snyderman about her phone call with him, do you
Yes.
recall when that was?
No, I really do not. The exact day, is that what you're asking me?
Okay. Was it before or after her trip to Florida?
I'm sure it was before.
And why are you sure?
Why am I sure? Because I recall being in my kitchen. I recall being at the exact point where I was in my kitchen during the phone call conversation after she got back from Florida. I don't think I saw her until maybe a day after she got back from Florida, or something similar to a day, maybe 2 days after Florida. I was at her house after speaking, I was at her house while speaking with her after she returned from Florida. This was a phone call conversation.
Okay. You don't have any recollection of the day, so we can check the phone records, is that right? You don't know approximately when this was? The phone call that you said she told you about, she had called you?
Correct, I have not checked my phone records.
Was it during the meeting the two of you had together after her trip to Florida where she told you about the sketch list like Kimmy's house?
I'm sure it was.
Okay. And her trip to Florida was to celebrate her anniversary.
Yes,
You recall when her anniversary was?
the 30th of December.
And you said it was a couple of days after she got back.
Or a day, could have been the 31st, I don't recall.
Do you remember it was on New Year's Eve?
Honestly, I do not recall. I remember we were supposed to have a party at our house and we canceled it because of Rusty's death.
But there was that conversation, and that was the first time she told you the sketch looked like Kimmy's eyes. Is that correct?
I think that's yes. However, there were discussions about the sketch previously to that.
She also told you about the email she had received from Kimmy with an attachment, correct?
At that same meeting, yes.
That was the same meeting that she told you. And it was at that meeting that she said she suspected you.
It was at that meeting that she suspected me? No. She told me on the phone previous to that she called him to ask him if he had anything to do with it. And then she showed me an email from him
All right. And
about that.
And the email was after the 28th.
There's two separate emails that she showed me.
Okay. Did you show this to the police? Did you tell the police about them?
I had not. Did I? What?
Okay. Well, let's deal with those emails. You're bringing them up now. Let's talk about it. Did she show you an email from Kimmy
Yes, two.
regarding the murder?
One said, I did not, or no, I didn't, or something like that.
That was an email.
That was an email.
And she showed you that.
Yes, she did, on her phone.
Tell the state that.
I don't know.
You
Did they
didn't think
ask?
that was important?
I don't know. Did they ask me that?
Oh, they had to ask you first?
I don't know. I told,
Miss,
oh, no,
Go ahead.
no.
go ahead. You can explain.
I don't know. I told the police everything that I recalled at that moment in time.
Okay.
I believe I did tell them about the Bruno Mars thing.
About what?
The Bruno Mars,
I'm sorry.
Email.
What is that?
that's the song that
Oh,
Kimmy
I'm sorry.
sent her.
The song on the email.
Yes.
And you said it's Bruno Mars?
Mars was the composer of the song that he sent her.
Go ahead, Ms. Moore.
Okay. And again, that was sometime after December 31st, 2010.
What was?
The email with the Bruno Mars.
No, he sent her that email while she was in Florida, and when we were discussing it, I asked her if she showed that to the police. I asked her if she told the police, and again, she said, I'm afraid for what that would mean for me and my family.
That discussion was after December 31st, right? After she got back from Florida.
Whenever she got back from Florida, I do not recall the date.
Okay. But you recall she was at Florida on her anniversary on December 31st.
To celebrate her anniversary. I don't know if she was there on her anniversary or not. I don't know that.
Are you aware she went to the police on January 4th?
On January 4th?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So shortly after your discussion, she went to the police department.
Mhm.
Well, let's go back and let me ask you about some of the things you have told the police. Yesterday, you testified under direct, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea has checked out of this marriage, and that when she talked about Rusty, her eyes went dark, and when she talked about her boss, they sparkled.
Mm-hmm.
Do eyes sparkle? So something out of Harlequin romance novel? I mean, they sparkle? Are mine sparkling?
Your Honor, I'm objecting to the compound questions. I would
I'm
ask-
gonna
I'll break
sustain-
them up.
Hold on, Mr. Morgan, let me rule on the objection. I know you want to cut me off, but
No.
don't. I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask a direct question, but don't ask her a compound question. You may answer the question if you can, ma'am.
Do eyes sparkle, Mr. Attorney?
They certainly glow.
Oh, they do, okay. And they change to dark?
They get cold also is what I said. Mhm.
Now, did you think that was
In my
important
opinion.
enough to
Hold on,
tell?
hold on, 1 second.
I'm sorry, I
You were
didn't.
still talking. Go ahead.
In my opinion, they do, because you can tell a difference in the way eyes look.
Okay. Did you think that was important to tell Detective Thompson on January 21st, 2010?
Here's what happened.
Yes or no, and then you can explain.
At that exact moment in time, like I said before, no, and here's the reason why. Like I was trying to say earlier, the months after Rusty's murder, I wanted so deeply to believe what Andrea was telling me. I wanted to believe in her. I supported her. And when I was there with her, she started telling me certain things. I had found out about the cruise since we had previously discussed that she had not had sex with her husband in quite some time. I specifically asked her if she and Rusty had had sex on the cruise, and she told me yes. In addition to that, she was telling all of us a lot of different things. I was led to believe,
Just your conversations with Andrea Snyder, not what other people told you.
I was led to believe by Andrea Snyderman that they had patched things up, that things were going well again.
Now,
After my interview with the police in February, Andrea came out with a public statement about being shocked that it could be Hemi. And I thought to myself, how in the world could she be shocked when I told her to tell the police about her boss? And thinking back, when that public statement came out, I then thought back to all the things that we had talked about at that lunch. And then when it came out that Hemi's wife filed for a divorce because she suspected,
Objection.
I'm going to sustain that objection.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, you're-
because she I'm sorry.
Let's stop right. Time out.
I'm sorry.
Stop right there.
I'm sorry.
All right. I believe, at least what I'm hearing, you responded to his last question.
This is all in response to this last question.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go into other issues right now.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay? You were not present when Andrea had the conversation with Detective Thompson and Sergeant Cordellino in her home on the 19th.
That is correct.
Now, you just told us that you did not tell Detective Thompson about the sparkle in the eyes and the dark eyes during that interview, right?
Because at that particular moment in time, I had not thought about it. Again, I did not start recalling that September 1st lunch in detail until after Andrea made her public statement in February.
Well, you told Detective Thompson about this September lunch.
Yes, but I did not go back and yes, I did tell him about that lunch.
You testified on February 23rd, February 24th, 2011, 2012, in the Hemingway trial, right?
I did.
And during the course of that trial, you never mentioned anything about the sparkle in the eyes and the dark eyes. Is that